Yes, the Milwaukee Brewers are steamrolling toward an NL Central Division title. Are they winning it, or are the Cubs just like handing it to them on a silver platter? Classic Chicago Cubs choke. We'll talk about that. Joey Wiemer. Brewers took 2 of 3 this weekend. No surprise whatsoever. Things are going so well for this team. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And it is great to have all of you Brewer fans, just like myself, here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, and this show is brought to you by Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks. You can win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app. Use the promo code Locked On. You'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Man, what a great weekend it was. Well, not for Packer fans, but I'm telling you, Sundays in September belong to the Milwaukee Brewers. That's what I've always said. I'm a Brewers fan first. I am. I'm also a member of the media, but I'm also a fan of the team. They're my favorite team in the state of Wisconsin. And like I've told you in the past, it's not often where we're talking about a Brewer team that's 6.5 games up in mid-September and on the verge of clinching this division title. Yeah, they lost today against Washington, but they took 2 of 3 in the series. And Saturday night, how magical was that with Canna going Yahtzee with the bases juiced? Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everybody, all you everydayers, for joining us. Those of you guys who tweet me every day at Chuck Freeman, Freimund. I put a simple little question about tweet them on my Twitter account or X account, whatever they call it. And I said, are the Brewers winning this division or are the Cubs choking it away? And I get dozens of responses right off the bat. That's how great you guys are. Brewer fans, passionate fans here in the state of Wisconsin, the best baseball fans around, period. And we deserve what the Brewers are doing right now. Took 2 of 3 from Washington, and that magic number's down to 7 for the division title, 6 for the wild card. But we're not thinking wild card. I've never even thought of the wild card. I'm thinking division title all the way, right from the get-go. You want to win the division title, get that number 1 seed. So we're playing playoff baseball at AmFam Field. Our episodes are dropped Monday through Friday here on Locked On Brewers. Go to Google, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. We're on all the major downloads. Wherever you get your podcast downloads, check us out. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Hit the alerts on those because you can get alerted every time we drop an episode, which is usually overnight. We drop the episode. And, of course, our growing YouTube audience. I'm trying to get to 2,000, everybody. We are chugging our way there. Started off with about 1,000 customers, subscriptions, subs. My first year doing the podcast. They're called subs on YouTube. And we're almost to 2,000. And I want to get to 2,000 and past that. But please, go to YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, get alerted every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. In case this is the first time you're joining us, Chuck Freeman, longtime sports talk show host in the state of Wisconsin. Okay, from here, not some outsider. Okay, Brewer fan, just like you all, who grew up watching this team. Nothing fake about it, all real. And that's why we do the show. Passionate Brewer fans, you guys who would download this episode every day. And yeah, the Brewers took 2 or 3. Sure, they had opportunities to win this game today against Washington. At one point on the live line, they were minus 600 when they had the bases juiced there with 1 out in extra innings. And they went from a minus 600 to a plus like 250 at one point. And it probably was even higher than that toward the end. But yeah, they took 2 or 3 from Washington, and Brandon Woodruff pitched his butt off. We're going to give you some amazing stats with Brandon Woodruff and how he could be the September pitcher of the month in the National League, because we've had Peralta. Burns was in August. Peralta was, Burns was July. Peralta was August. And I think Woody's got a shot at September. How about that? 3 consecutive months of the Brewers winning pitcher of the month could happen. Now, at the top, the Brewers, again, as I mentioned, 7 games, their magic number. I don't really look at the magic number. I look at games behind, but some of you guys follow magic number. To be honest with you, I do want the Brewers to clinch at home, selfishly. 2018, they clinched in St. Louis, and that was really cool. My former tag team partner, Bart Winkler, went down there and did great coverage down there in St. Louis. I still can't believe he did it. He went on a whim down there, and it was great. So they're playing 4 in St. Louis this week. They could clinch this week. It's possible. They could do it. Probably, I'd say Miami. Could be next week at home against St. Louis. Any way you look at it, I'd love for them to clinch against St. Louis. I'll take any opponent. Selfishly, I love to see it happen at AmFam Field for me and everybody else who loves to see, come on, team running out in the field. Gatorade, they should have like 15 Gatorade buckets on hand for that night. Everybody gets dumped on, in a good way, with a Gatorade bucket. But yeah, that magic number down to 7. Now, are the Brewers winning this or the Cubs choking it away? The Brewers have won 13 of 16. And I know the Cubs have lost 2 of 8, and Cub fans are besides themselves. Just besides themselves. What's going on? Now, they're going to go to the wild card, I think. But they wanted to win the division title. But they're 2 of 8 in their last 10. Reviewing the Brew, a great Brewer website. There's a few bloggers out there. Reviewing the Brew is one of them, who are just terrific. They're a go-to for me every day. They pointed out on their Twitter account, the Cubs are 2 and 8 since coming within a game and a half of the Brewers. 2 and 8 since pulling within a game and a half of the Brewers. And now they're 6.5 out. In 10 games, they've lost 5 games in the standings to the Brewers. So I think that the Brewers, even though the Cubs can't get out of their own way, and I would have bet the farm, to be honest with you, that Arizona was going to win today. I kind of went a little bit on Arizona on Saturday night, to be honest with you. When I got the extra innings, I thought, Cubs ain't going to win this game. It scared me a couple times, but Arizona ended up pulling it out. And today, night game, I thought, oh, man, Cubs, they're going to keep on losing. The way to think is the Cubs are going to break that winning streak. Yeah, the winning streak's going to come, or they're going to break that losing streak. They're going to win this final game in Arizona. Well, contrarian says, well, Arizona's going to keep it going. And sure enough, they certainly did. Hope none of you guys got suckered into betting on the Cubs Sunday night. But 13 of 16, the Brewers are winning this division title. They are. We're going to take some of your tweets coming up here in a little bit. Mark Hanna. The moment of the season, Saturday night. We'll talk about that. Joey Wiemer gets sent down. We'll talk about that. And some amazing numbers on Brandon Woodruff, and the Brewers go to St. Louis. All that coming up here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Chuck Freeman here, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Always great to have the great Brewer fans follow me along here. And again, download the episodes, Google, Spotify, Apple. Follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. And also, hit us up on YouTube. There's comments there you can put on. I read all your comments every day. I read all your tweets. And please subscribe to Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button and everything else, and you're going to get locked in right here on Locked On Brewers. All right. Jase Medical, modern medical care and treatment are important, but our global supply chains are fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, foreign travel may cut you off from the treatment you need. Jase Medical is your solution. Just fill out the online form, and one of Jase Medical's board-certified physicians will review it and determine whether medications are safe and appropriate for you. Then Jase will send out the prescriptions to one of their partner pharmacies, where your order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. You can also send your physician a message anytime for answers to treatment-related questions. Anytime you can send your physician a message here with Jase Medical. So, everyone, should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase case. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using the promo code Locked On at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's Jase Medical, Jase medical.com. Chuck Freeman here, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is great to have you join me here. We'll talk about the amazing things that Brandon Woodruff has done here in the last month. We'll talk about Joey Wiemer, who has not been doing amazing things at all. And look ahead to St. Louis and read a few of your tweets as well and comment on those next, coming up here on this edition of Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Brewers take on the Cardinals in a first of a 4-game set. You know, when this schedule first came out last year, but you look at it, but then once the season starts, I always look at who the Brewers are playing in September, opening day, first week of the season, and who are they playing in September? And I saw that they had 3 games. They had 4 games last week of the season against St. Louis at AmFam Field, and they had a 4-game series prior to that at Busch Stadium. And I thought the Brewers and Cardinals would be fighting this thing out for the division title. Little did I know that the Cardinals would fall in the tank right from the very beginning and never climb out. They teased a couple of times in May, put on some winning streaks. Thursday, right here on SiriusXM, the SXM app, search Brewers, and you get all 162 of Brewers baseball on SiriusXM, the SXM app. Sorry, I had to pause. We did lose our stream there for a second. I didn't lose my place. I just wanted to make sure we were back online here, that we had not lost our place. But we appear to be good to go. All right. Brandon Woodruff has put together an amazing month. In fact, his last, according to Todd Rosiak from the Journal Sentinel, Woody in his last 31 starts is 15-3. 186 pitches, 186 innings, 15-3 in his last 31 starts. That's Cy Young stuff right there. Now it's spread over a couple of seasons. And then Mike Vasallo from the Media Relations Director Department. This month, Woody is 4-0, a .46 earned run average. Think he's not in the running for September Pitcher of the Month? Now, all these awards and all that don't mean anything if the Brewers flop out in the postseason, because this is what our sports teams tend to do. And I don't mean to dump on Woody's moment here, but our sports teams in the state of Wisconsin tend to win MVPs, yet not world championships, except for the Bucks in 2021. You know, we win all the MVPs, but then when it comes to, and all the postseason awards, managers of the year, Brewers have won Manager of the Year awards. Council has it, but other managers have. We've won MVPs, but no championships. Okay, let's break the door down this year. I was looking at it. I'm telling you, I think this team is better read. This team is more prepared to make a deep run in September than it was a month ago. A month ago, they looked like they'd be easy fodder for, if they got by the wild card round, the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers are the team they're going to face. The winner of the wild card series, and I think right now would be Arizona. I want to say off the top of my head, I think it's Arizona. And if they beat Arizona in a 2-3, the first 1-2, they'd play the Dodgers, and the Dodgers would have home field advantage in that first weekend of October. But I think now, since they've lost that 3-game series in Los Angeles, where they looked dreadful, and when they got beaten that series by the Dodgers, I was not hopeful at all. I was like, man, this is going to be like 2021, where they teased us, won the division title, and fell on their face against the Atlanta Braves. Okay. I don't feel that way right now. I feel like they got some magic going on. And Mark Canha's home run on Saturday night, that grand slam, running around the bases. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Running around the bases, the lights flashing, BA on the call. God, 5-5 game. And Canna hits a no-doubter. Wow. Just an amazing pickup. And somebody put on Twitter, and I should be able to credit this guy, and I don't remember what it was. It was Saturday night. Oh, J.R. Radcliffe from the Journal-Sentinel made a good point. Said, is this the best bat that the Brewers have added at the trading deadline? And some people mentioned pitchers, not Don Sutton, not CC Sabathia. He meant hitters, and he's probably right. I wouldn't have said that after the first 2 weeks that he was here, but now I do, man. Look at all the clutch hits. You can't take him out of the lineup. Hit the grand slam, and I said, Mark Canna, you can't take him out of the lineup. That's why you got to keep him in every day. Man, what a trade that was. At the time, I was a little indifferent about that. I didn't think that he would come here and do this. Yeah, he's been just a professional hitter. I feel good every time that guy comes to the plate. I love him in the leadoff spot, but he's got to be in the top 5 by order every time I'm making one out. So good for him, and good for the Brewers for pulling off, because he's been part of this. But back to Woodruff. I don't want to get back on, forget about Woodruff here. But yeah, last 31 starts, 15-3, 4-0, a .46 earned run average for the month of September. Keeps this up, they're going to go ahead and give him September Pitcher of the Month. Again, none of this means anything. They don't win a division title and do great things in the postseason, but I think they are. All right, the Brewers and Cardinals coming up. Game 1 of that series, Sirius XM, the SXM app, 6:45 coming up on Monday. Get all your games on Sirius XM. We'll talk a little bit about the series coming up. Talk about Joey Wiemer as well. Man, I didn't really see this coming, but I definitely understand it, because he's not been good, and I'm going to give you some numbers to back that up. Chuck Freeman here, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, and this episode is brought to you in part by Sleeper. The MLB playoffs right around the corner, which means the clock is ticking on your chance to win 100 times your cash on daily fantasy baseball. Baseball, exciting, with players like Acuna, Betts, Ohtani. Pick more or less, well, Ohtani's out now, but pick more or less on stats for these stars like home runs, hits, strikeouts, and more, up to 100 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you could win big. Use the promo code Locked On. You'll get a $100 match off your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Sleeper's terms of use for details. You're on YouTube. You see that crawl right there at the bottom of the screen. Go to that website, and you'll see the terms of use and see what they're all about. But Sleeper, up to 8 different players you could pick. They have so many different categories: triples, hits, over and under on walks, all that. Home runs, of course, strikeouts, pitchers, props, everything. Daily fantasy baseball. Hit them up on Sleeper. And of course, sleeper.com/promo/locked on for your promo. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. We're coming right back. We'll talk about Joey Wiemer and get some of your tweets next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host. Good to have you along. I'm especially fired up here on a Sunday night. I really am. I mean, it's probably the most fired up I've been about a loss. You know, they lost today, and I wasn't like, I wasn't feeling as bad as I would normally feel after a Brewers lost. Still, I was happy taking 2 or 3. That's what I tell you. Take 2 or 3. The players will say take 2 or 3. They lost. Okay. Didn't hit. Woody pitched great as always, but still, they're looking good. 6.5 up on the Cubs, who just continue to fall in the tank. Joey Wiemer got sent down. Just some horrible numbers for Joey Wiemer. And we knew that. I've been talking about how his batting stance and his delivery and his launch, everything's off. Everything's off a tick or 2 or 3 with Joey Wiemer. And his playing time has gone down a little bit since Frelick. has been added to the roster, and I get it. You know, they continue to run Wiemer out there game after game with his 200 batting average, and they were getting away with it, and they were still in first place because there was nobody else pushing him. Garrett Mitchell got hurt, and Wiemer came up second game of the season and was able to, Wiemer came up because Urias got hurt, and Wiemer got called up. They put him in second game of the season. He was playing center field at Wrigley Field on a windy day. It looked great out there, and had some early season success, but he never really could sustain any success, and too many strikeouts. He's got like 12 strikeouts in his last 28 at-bats. So since July 31st, he's hitting 180. And that's when he's got one home run. Craig Counsell today said, when asked about putting Wiemer down at AAA, I don't think he's run out of gas. I think he's struggling at the plate. I don't know that there's any question about that. When Sal got here, Joey's playing situation changed, and that's not been different for him. He has not been in there every day, and that's been hard around him, I think. That's just part of it. That's another adjustment for a young player to make. We want those adjustments to happen overnight and very quickly, and they don't happen that way. But they gave him every opportunity to adjust and be good. They gave him every opportunity. They kept running him out there, and you can't play him. Not this year. You work with him in the offseason, correct his major flaws. Anybody who's watched a Brewer game and seen him come to the plate say, man, he's got a hitch in his swing that he's got to correct. Unless he accidentally runs into one, Joey Wiemer is a wasted at bat. Okay. So we got to win the division title, and we work on Wiemer in the off season and in the spring training, but we got to go with the guys that are there right now. Blake Perkins got called up. I don't know what Perkins is going to add to this team. He hasn't been here since like early August, I want to say, but just another guy in the outfield. But I don't look for Blake to get regular playing time or even half playing time, because we already got the guys we're going with out there in the outfield, provided everybody stays healthy. Blake, maybe defensive replacement. Obviously, he could pinch run because he's so fast. He's got blazing speed. And that'll be his spot on the team here for the next couple of weeks. But Joey Wiemer just couldn't do it anymore. You know, we're here to win championships here, and not to take any away from his contributions early in the season, but he just wasn't adding to it. Okay. But that was interesting what Counsell said. And yeah, he needs everyday at bats. They don't really have time for the Joey Wiemer experience. I was surprised. I'm surprised it's taken this long. I mean, it took till the second to last week of the season to send him down to the minors to get corrected. Why didn't this happen sooner? It's something that should have happened sooner. All right. The Cardinals coming up. Sundays are for the Brewers. You heard the Barstool always talks about Saturday are for the boys. Sundays are for the Brewers. In the NFL, Sundays are for the Brewers. Went to a sports bar today. Said, can you put on the Brewers, please? Everybody's glued into the Packers. That noon start, I get it. I'm watching the Brewers. To me, when your team is in the pennant race in September, I got to watch the Brewers. All right. First of four coming up with the Cardinals on Monday night, 6:45 on Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. You can get all 162 Brewers baseball. Let's give you the pitching rotation for this series. Freddie Peralta gets Adam Wainwright for that first game on Sirius XM, 6:45 on Monday. Adrian Hauser against Drew Rom on Tuesday. Adrian makes another start. He was fine coming off the injured list in his last start. This probably have a couple more starts before he gets put into the bullpen for the postseason. Let's see here. Wednesday starter. Brewers play another night game. Zach Thompson against Wade Miley. And then the Thursday game, Miles Michaelis against Corbin Burns. So, I mean, whoever the Brewers throw it out there these days, you got to love their chances. And the Cardinals are not going to lie down in this series. You know it. They have nothing to play for but ruin a few things for the Milwaukee Brewers. But it's too late to ruin things because the Brewers are 6.5 out, heading to the final 2 weeks of the season. Yeah, have teams blowing that lead before. Not happening here. Not happening here. The Brewers are going to forge on. That magic number is 7, and they're going to win this division title. We're going to talk to you tomorrow night. Again, after that, I'm going to play Wainwright. Wainwright never misses a series against the Brewers, but this isn't the same Adam Wainwright that we saw several years ago. This is a facsimile of Adam Wainwright. We'll talk about it tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody. Download us on YouTube. Go to Locked On Brewers. Search Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell. That'll alert you every episode that we drop here on Locked On Brewers. All you everydayers, hit us up. If you already follow us on the audio podcast, hit us up on YouTube. And, of course, the audio podcast, Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all of them right here every day, talking Locked On Brewers, getting ready for the postseason. I'm so honored to do this show. And when our team is in first place going into the final 2 weeks of the season, this is uncharted water. Well, we've been here very few times in our lives, me especially. And I'm enjoying this. And we're going to have a fun ride here for the next 2 weeks of the regular season and then on to the postseason in October baseball. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. We'll talk to you after the Brewers and Cardinals in Game 1 on Monday night, everybody.